Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and I am not alone. I am joined by Mr. Zzz.
Was there more to that, or was that just, did you just zzz my name?
Zzz.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say my full name and just stopped. Hey, it's me, everybody. How's it going?
And G.
Hey!
So yeah, all three of us are here once again. Yes, we're going to be talking about some games, some sort of underrated games, some slightly forgotten games for the Switch that we think are absolutely fan-dabby-dozy, but we just don't see people singing about, or, you know, any number of reasons like that. Games that we think deserve a bit of a spotlight that don't currently have it. And we've got one each. We're going to keep it nice and simple. We've got one each. And I think we should start off with Mr. Jibbity Jom Jom Jom.
Oh, okay.
So, John, what's your game?
I think you guys might have some more hidden games, because this one had a bit of a spotlight back in 2017, but I never hear anyone talk about this anymore. So the game I'm bringing to the table is Battle Chef Brigade.
What?
Wow. Oh.
I've never heard of that.
Alright, okay, so
I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
this was published by Adult Swim, and it was a really stylish, sort of Japanese-inspired game. But the genre is very much up my alley. So what this basically is, it's a cooking tournament that you attend to. And basically, you have to find the ingredients in the wild. So you go out to the wild, and you battle all these animals to get ingredients from them, or just like battle plants and get like things like that. And then to cook them, there's a puzzle game. So you're basically finding the elements in the wild, going to the puzzle, and then mixing them up to just sort of get chains and cook them that way. So the premise is very much for me, but it's all tied together with this great presentation with full voice acting. And at the time, I adored it, but I just never hear this game's praises sung anymore.
I have literally never heard of this game, and I don't... You know, 2017, there were so many big hitters, but I was still like... There still weren't like hundreds of games being released for the Switch at the time. So I'm just baffled that I've never heard of this game.
John, you've already done your job. You've already taught, or
There we go.
Shared this game with someone else who has no idea.
Yeah, I was worried that this was going to be quite a well-known one, but I guess, as Alex was saying, there's so many games on the Switch that something is bound to slip through the bars.
Have you heard of it, Xeon?
I have, yeah. I had it on my Switch wish list for a while. I think I might have taken it off because there's so many games on there. But I'm really glad to hear that you enjoyed this a lot, because that kind of that reinforces the fact that I need to go dig back into it a little bit.
It's so beautiful too, like beautiful hand-drawn aesthetic with some great character designs. There's a brilliant lead character. It's just something that I really enjoyed the first time, and I want to go back to it now I'm talking about it, but I wish it had a bit more love behind it, because it's a great game, and at the time it got like 8 out of 10s and 9 out of 10s, so it was highly rated. It just sort of sunk away though.
Bizarre.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I remember there being quite a bit of buzz about it, but that just almost seems to be the nature of, I suppose indie games these days, is that there's always so many new ones coming out now that, once, something new comes on the table, it kind of overshadows all of the other cool things of the past, unless if you're like Shovel Knight and you're constantly putting your your character in everything and making people remember that Shovel Knight exists. Shovel Knight is not what I'm going to talk about, by the way.
Well, that's good. What is your favorite part of the game, John?
I'd say the story is really good. It ties everything together. I think if you were just to do the puzzles over and over again, you'd have fun, but you need a bit more substance to just bring everything like glued together. So it all works in tandem. I think the puzzle aspect is great as it is, but the mechanic of going to the wild and finding your ingredients is something that's really clever. And we have other games like that, like Breath of the Wild. You find ingredients and cook them, but the way it ties it with the puzzle aesthetic is it's ingenious. But yeah, to answer your question, the story's really good.
I'm really keen to look into this now, actually. I like food and cooking and stuff like that. This genuinely sounds like my kind of thing.
As far as the puzzles go too, are those, can you only play those in certain, at the end of a day, or are there only so many puzzles you can do, or are you able to grind out puzzles too, or is that not, how does that? Are there bosses? How do the puzzles come into play?
So it's a tournament, and there's other people playing alongside you, other like AI opponents, and they're also like they're the best of the best. They're warriors from around the world, and they've come to cook alongside you. So you're basically trying to play against them at the same time. So think like competitive puzzle games, almost like Pound Upon, where you're just sort of playing against each other. Only you're not always puzzling. You're going back and forth between almost like a hack and slash kind of hunting game at the same time. So you're able to freely go back and forth between the puzzles and the hunting, and that's kind of what makes it unique.
That sounds cracking.
So weird.
Xeon, what's your game? Is it Shovel Knight?
My game. It is not Shovel Knight, and it's also not Battle Chef Brigade. So, could you imagine? Because we have not discussed any of our games before.
No.
So this game is one that this came out pretty recently. So I felt a little weird about putting it on the list, but I recently spent a good chunk of time with it and enjoyed it a lot, and felt like it's just one of those games that I feel like not a lot of people are going to catch on to. But this is definitely for fans of games like Katamari Damacy or Untitled Goose Game. You may have seen that I talked about this in the April games list, but this is a game called Rain on Your Parade. Have either of you guys heard of this game at all?
I haven't.
No.
I should have watched your video, but I'm
a
busy boy.
I'm pleased that I can bring this to your attention. So Rain on Your Parade is it's a game where you just roam around. It's kind of like a 3D. It's not really a platformer because you play as a cloud, and your job is just to make everyone else's lives miserable. So like usually though there's a story to the game, and there's tons of different levels. And so the main concept is that you just, like you said, you play as a cloud, and you can kind of like float around above the sky in this kind of like 3D environment. You can't move up and down. You can only move kind of like on a flat plane, but your goal is to just rain and make people upset about it. So like the first level in the game is you're at someone's wedding, and you have to rain and drench every single person in order to beat the level.
Oh my god, this sounds so much like something I want to play.
Yeah, it sounds hilarious.
It's so fun, and I've only played maybe like 20 of the levels I think so far, but you can kind of roam around this like the level select screen as the cloud freely and kind of see. There are so many levels. Maybe 75, 100. I don't know exactly, but there's tons. And the cool thing is a lot of them have a different variety as well. Some levels involve you just simply raining on something. Like you might have to. The second level actually involves there's a bunch of people that have started fires, like car fires, and they've started wood on fire, and just like you're basically in a parking lot, and they're causing havoc, and you have to put out all of the fires, and they get upset at you for like controlling their chaos, and it's so strange. There's some levels where there's different elements that you can like pick up with your cloud. Like there's one where you're in a warehouse, and there's oil bins, and you can kind of like hover over the oil bins, and you can pick up oil, and you can then rain that down, and you can actually like create a path of oil on the ground, and you can lead it. You can start fires with it, because there's also like a can that has fire going in it, and you can like lead the oil and the fire all around the room to start all of the packages on fire. And so there's weird little elements. There's even one too where you're guarding a bomb, and there's a bunch of people trying to come and stop the bomb from blowing up, and you have to rain on them to get them to not defuse the bomb.
Oh my god.
It's really strange. That sounds extremely dark, but the majority of the game is not that
morally
bad.
questionable, I think.
Yeah. That's like, now that I did not have that written down in my notes. That just came straight from my brain. And
what I love about this is this doesn't remind me of any other game. Like,
No.
This is something that could only exist in the indie scene. Like, what you're describing is not a gameplay style that has existed before, and it could only exist here.
What's your favourite part of the game then? I know I asked John the same thing, but it seemed to get a good response.
That's a good question. One little thing that I appreciate a lot is in the trailer I saw there was like a little Metal Gear Solid reference where you see the Cloud like wearing a bandana, and they're sneaking through. I can't remember if it's Mos Eisley. I probably butchered that, but the first word, or the place that Metal Gear 1 takes place in.
Shadow Moses?
Yes, thank you. There's a level in the game where you actually, it's a sneaking mission now instead, and you have to avoid these guards, and there's even like the UI of like Snake talking to the Colonel or whatever. Like there's a UI that pops up on screen of the Cloud communicating with somebody else back at base, and you're basically trying to destroy like a big piece of machinery, and there's all these like little video game references sunk into this game. Like in the warehouse level, there's actually there's an extra bonus for destroying all of the cardboard boxes, and one of the boxes I thought had a little like Half-Life logo on it. And when you beat each level perfectly, you unlock like a piece of equipment that you can put on your Cloud, kind of like a part-time UFO thing where you can decorate it with different gear. And you actually unlocked a crowbar for beating the warehouse level, and it totally was a Half-Life reference.
Was it the lambda?
The logo.
Yeah, the lambda, the Greek letter.
That sounds right. I actually, you say that word, and I associate that only with Half-Life. I did not know that was a Greek thing. But I love that these devs just seem like a bunch of gamers, like just, I mean, what most devs, are, but these devs have packed a ton of like little video game references, and the humor is so funny. And so I just think the little jokes and the little quips, that's what I love about the game most. But it's also just a lot of fun to play.
That's honestly, you guys have come up with some really good games, and I'm so pleased I've never heard of them. However, I do know that you've both heard of the game I'm going to mention, because the game I want to feature is a game called Glyph. Hello, sorry to interrupt, I'm just editing the video, and I got in touch with the devs to ask whether I could have some music to go in the background, and they agreed. And they also told me that there's a big update coming to the game, and a demo, so keep an eye out for the demo. Demos are free, baby. Now, John, I have mentioned this to you, haven't I?
You have, yeah.
Basically, what this game is, I suppose the best way to describe it, is a sort of a 3D, maybe semi-puzzly platformer, where you play essentially as the morph ball from Metroid. I say the morph ball, you know what I mean. Samus in her morph ball. You are a sphere, and you bounce around, and you can jump, and you can get like different, not abilities, but you can like charge up so you can do a double jump and things like that. And if you roll off a platform, you get infinite coyote time, so you can jump midair, and you can bounce on the ground, and you can also flutter because you're a beetle, not just a ball. Although sometimes you're not a beetle because there's loads of different like costumes and stuff you can wear. Honestly, it is stupidly good. And I remember when I first heard about it, they said, there's it's something like 60 or 80 levels or something around there. I'll have the actual number appear on screen. That's better. And when I first started playing the game, I thought, oh, okay, that's not bad, because the intro level, like the tutorial, is quite short and simple. It's just, straightforward. And I thought, okay, sort of 60, 80 levels like this, that's pretty good. That's decent value. No, my God, as soon as you get to the first world, you realize that if you want to get all of the level done 100%, you can spend a good sort of 5 to 10 minutes on a level. And if it's a particularly difficult one, you can spend half an hour on it. It's insane. There is so much game here. And yet at the same time, if you just want to do like the base level and not get everything, you can kind of breeze through relatively easily. And yet if you want to do 100% and get absolutely everything, it is really, really tough. Like, really tough. It's all based around momentum and things like that, and, maintaining your momentum and doing these ridiculous bounces. Honestly, it is just one of the most sort of original and fun platformers I've played in years. And it only came out I'm pretty sure it was this year.
Yeah, it's recently. I'm surprised this game isn't talked about more, because it seems to tick a lot of boxes that people want. Like, people are always like, oh, we want more 3D platformer style games, and Here is one, and it's a really good one too. I think we even reviewed it quite well on the site.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do a video review. I think maybe it was at an awkward time or something when there was a load of other stuff going on. But sadly, we didn't do one. So that's why I was really keen to bring it up here. Honestly, it's an absolute joy, and I still go back to it every so often and play it for an hour or so. And I just went through the last time I played it. I was just like, well, I've got a load of stuff. I'm going to unlock as many levels as I can. And I just kept going, kept unlocking more and more levels. And it's that wonderful thing where it's simple to pick up, but the skill ceiling is ridiculously high.
This is one of those games that I remember hearing about. And I think it came from you. Like, you were probably telling us that you were playing it. And I'm so glad that you featured it on this list, because at first, when you said glyph, I was like, what is that? What is that? And then you said Metroid. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh, okay. How does it feel? Like, how is the movement and like the momentum? Does it like feel genuinely good to just play?
It feels really good. At first, I wasn't entirely sold on it because it feels quite floaty. But that floatiness is absolutely integral to the way that the game plays. And I suppose realistically it could be less floaty and just have all the platforms closer together just to compensate. But the fact that it is so floaty, and you can do some ridiculous jumps and do some really ludicrous things. It's so satisfying to play and to really like pull something off. Again, the most like satisfying things are always the hardest things to do. But my God, when you actually pull them off and you manage to do this jump that you looked at it before and you said, that's impossible, that can't be done in the game, and then you figure out that maybe, sort of you bounce, and then immediately after you sort of as soon as you hit the ground, you start to hover, and that maintains your momentum from the bounce, which means you go really high vertically, and then you jump again mid that to maintain that, and you start going really fast upwards, and then you lean forward, but not too far, honestly, it is so much fun.
So Alex, now we have to ask you. John, would you like to do the honors?
Alex, what is your favorite part of Glyph?
As much as I adore the gameplay, and the gameplay is the reason to get the game, I think the thing that I like the most is the costumes you can unlock. And it is so like minor. It is such a not important part of the game. But oh my word, you can get some crazy things. You just sort of think, okay, I'm a beetle. That's kind of cool. You don't have to be a beetle. You can be like a robot. You can be just like these tentacles in an orb. And every single one of them is unique. And you sort of, at first, you just assume that the costumes are going to be different colors. But no, like original animations and everything. It's just that extra layer of polish, that extra layer of creativity that really escalates this game.
Can you be a soccer ball too?
I don't know. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge. I wouldn't be at all surprised, honestly. There are so many costumes. I'm pretty sure there's maybe like one costume or like one effect, because you have like a trail behind you as well per level. So there's going to be a lot of costumes. I don't know the total number, but there are a lot.
I only asked because I was... once you started mentioning the hover thing, I thought that I saw a soccer ball in the trailer, and maybe even if not, I was getting onto the idea of how do they make a soccer ball look like it's flying or hovering? Like, does the soccer ball grow wings, or does it project? Do jets pop out of the bottom of it, or is it just a soccer ball or a football? I'm so sorry. I should have said football, shouldn't I?
I knew what you meant. Honestly, I don't know I don't know what it would be, because there are a couple of things where I could think of, oh, well, it could be the tentacle one, because sometimes they reuse models and they're different textures, and it could be that.
Sure.
But at the same time, it could be something entirely different that I've not yet seen, and now I want to know.
I guess I'm just going to have to play it and find out.
You're going to have to play it and find out. I think, John, particularly, I know how you like to sort of like skip areas of levels and things like that. I think this is really ticks those boxes for you. And it's momentum based, so it's basically Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's all I want.
Well, there you go. 3 cracking games that we think deserve a little bit more attention. And look, we just gave them some. So if you want to learn more about any of these games, make sure you check the description. We'll have links to, you know, the Nintendo pages and stuff like that. But all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you look at that subscribe button as some tentacles come out of it. Not like that.
Oh, no.
And be sure to check out nintendolive.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.
Oh no, the tentacles are everywhere!
Grab the rocket launcher! Someone, quick!
I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it to you guys before. Certainly John.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Hang on, I just need a little pause there because Cobweb's in the room and she's rustling around.
I like the
Talk
idea
about
that...
her favorite indie games.
Yeah, exactly.
Cobweb's rustling adventure.
I like the idea that Cobweb opened the door.
No, the door's just open because... get out. Go on, off your pop.
Get out of here!
Get out of here,
Get out of here, kitty!
Sasha's calling her down. It's all good.